everybody, welcome to Stormdance Television. Lately I've been looking into how we can have better, more constructive conversations, not just in everyday life, but in high stakes environments where disagreement is common. As part of that exploration, I read the Socratic Method by Ward Farnsworth. In the book's epilogue, Farnsworth outlines 12 rules of engagement, guiding principles of how we should conduct ourselves when we're involved in reasoning, discussion, or debate. These rules aren't about how to win an argument, but about how to stay honest, open, and focused in the search for truth. As I read them, I realized how valuable they are, not just for our life in general, but specifically for our work as judges. Not because they tell us how to judge, that's a separate topic entirely, but because they help us approach the task with the right mindset. Judging battles isn't just about technical knowledge. It's about staying clear-headed, fair, and alert in the face of pressure, uncertainty, and expectation. With just a few small changes in language, these 12 rules can be applied directly to our work. They offer a kind of inner compass, a way to check ourselves as we observe, compare, and decide. And they can also help us identify who is ready for the responsibility of judging. Because if someone can consistently act in line with these rules, that's already a strong sign they are suited for the role. So, what follows is a closer examination of each of these 12 principles. Not as theoretical ideals, but as practical disciplines for anyone who wants to approach judging with clarity, rigor, and integrity. Let's start with the first one. In the book, it is called the open table. So number one, the open table means that everything happening during the performances is subject to observation and evaluation. Your job as a judge is to examine what actually takes place without any mental filters. To judge fairly, you must stay mentally open at all times. That means you don't bring conclusions to the room and you don't allow any fixed opinions to guide your attention. No personal preference has any place in this process. Good judging begins with attention and not assumption. And the table stays open from the first moment, of course, until the last, until you come up with your verdict. Number two, the purpose of inquiry. In the Socratic context, inquiry aims at better understanding. In judging, the same applies. With every performance, the judges understand more about the dance and its ways of expression, functionality, aesthetically, and performatively. But the process doesn't stop there when we're judging. The understanding must be clear enough to compare the performances and reach a decision at the end of each exchange, at the end of the battle. Number three, challenge is wanted. The more an idea bothers or puzzles you, the more it deserves your attention. That's how it is stated in the book. It's short, but very powerful. It shifts discomfort from being a warning sign to being a signal for deeper attention. In the context of judging, that translates directly. So when performances unsettle or confuse you, it clearly deserves deeper thought. But that extra attention must stay within the task. Not to analyze endlessly, but to understand clearly what creates the imbalance and where the deeper impact lies. Let me add here that confusion often arises from overthinking one side in isolation. Good judging demands balanced attention. Not decoding one side in isolation, but maintaining clarity for direct comparison. Number four, arguments met with arguments. A battle is a form of call and response. Each dancer brings forward their answer to the shared battle call. It is their argument to assert superiority. So each dancer responds with intention. Judges are there to observe these opposing claims and determine which response carried more weight by comparing their qualitative ingredients. Number five, the priority of reason. In the Socratic tradition, it is not the strength of belief that matters. It's the ability to give reasons for it. If you can't explain why you hold a certain view, then holding it strongly doesn't count for anything. The same applies in judging. It's not enough to feel convinced. You must be able to explain your verdict. Not to satisfy others, but to keep yourself accountable. A decision without reason is not a judgment, it's just a reaction. Number 6, elenctic reasoning. That sounds a bit complicated, so now this needs a bit of explaining, of course. The Socratic Method relies on elencus, and that is a style of questioning that tests assumptions by applying them to other cases. If an idea collapses under that pressure, it doesn't hold. So let me give you a step-by-step example on the elenctic method. In step A claim is stated, like somebody asserts a view or a principle, something they believe to be true. Like, for example, musicality is the most important thing in a performance. Then in step B, Socrates asks clarifying questions. The goal is to make the claim precise and unambiguous. No vague terms or hidden assumptions. What do you mean by musicality? More important than what? Then in step C, further beliefs are drawn out. The person is led to state other beliefs they hold, which seem to follow from the first or support the first. So if someone has perfect musicality, but weak execution, what do you do? Now in step D, a contradiction is revealed. Through questioning, one of the supporting beliefs contradicts either the original claim or another stated belief. Because earlier you said that control and clarity were essential. Doesn't that contradict your first claim? We cannot even see the musicality if the form is dirty or the moves are not precise enough. Finally, in step E, the original claim is rejected or revised. Once the contradiction is clear, the person must either give up the original belief or adjust it to resolve the inconsistency. So, if a reason only works in one case but not the other, it fails. A judge's logic must apply consistently and not selectively. This is very important to understand. If you value something in one stanza's performance but ignore it in the other, the problem isn't with the dancer, it's with your reasoning. Number 7, self-skepticism. A judge must stay alert to the possibility that their own thinking might be mistaken. Certainty can be seductive, especially when it aligns with personal taste or prior belief. The point is not to hesitate endlessly, but to remain honest, to question your first impressions, and to stay aware of where bias might be shaping what you see. Number 8, group skepticism. Widespread agreement is not a substitute for thought. If everyone around you thinks an idea is good, it's a reason to examine it even more carefully and not less. When the crowd goes wild, that's not evidence. When your co-judge is not in agreement, that's not evidence either. Even your own temptation to conform is a signal that you should stop and recheck your reasoning. This rule doesn't mean you reject consensus, it means you don't surrender your judgment to it. In other words, judging requires independent thought. Agreement means nothing if it's not built on reasons you've tested for yourself. Number 9, manners. This has to do with the way we behave towards those that are under scrutiny. Judges demand clarity and firmness, but never arrogance. Precision must not come at the cost of respect. Absolutely not. Every performance, even if flawed or incomplete, represents effort, attention, and risk. It deserves to be taken seriously. Always. As a judge, you're not there to mock, dismiss, or feel superior. You're there to observe with discipline and then to decide with care. Forceful impressions are allowed. Contempt is not. No sarcasm, no cruelty, no showing off. The role of a judge carries weight. It must be carried with composure. Number 10, candor. which could be defined as say what you truly think and stand by it. Your job is not to please the crowd, avoid disagreement, or soften the verdict. It's to make the clearest call you can based on what you saw and experienced. You don't look for comfort, you look for clarity. Let the outcome speak for itself. Number 11, no offense taken or given. Judging is never personal. The role is to assess performances, not the persons. If a dancer reacts emotionally to a result, it's not your responsibility to absorb or resolve that. Your task remains the same. At the same time, judges carry the process with composure. The verdict is transmitted, not imposed, not defended, and not used to provoke. Clarity is enough. Great. So now the final one. Rule number 12, humility. The original in the book reads, conclusions are provisional. They may seem very probable, so much so that they are well worth fighting for. The world is complicated. Nobody has it all figured out. No one should act as if they do. This is the closing principle for a reason. It reminds us that certainty is always partial, and that even the best decisions are shaped by limits of perception, context, and human reasoning. What can we take away from this one? Judging requires clarity, but it also requires restraint. However confident you may be, you never know everything. No style, no method or framework captures it all. You also never see everything either. Your certainty is based on limited access to time, perspective, context, or interpretation. You're certain based on what you could perceive in that particular moment. You are certain within the framework you're trained in, but you are not certain in some absolute or final sense. Because the performance, like the art form, always contains more than any single system or viewer can fully capture. You reach a decision, but you stay aware of its limits. You remain open to learning from the performance, from the context, and from the work itself. Thank you for watching, and I hope you tune in again for some more knowledge. Peace, I'm out. Storm.